What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. I have a bunch of stuff to get into today. I want to let you guys know my plans as well about Labo that's coming up this Friday. I plan to get it hopefully Thursday night. I'm going to pick up the variety pack. I think Sean is getting the robot pack, so if you want to see, I guess, both of them, make sure you check out both channels and everything with RGT85. But I'm planning on getting the variety pack, and I'm going to do coverage for, I guess, the entirety of that pack, whether it's checking out what different things are in it, you know, the durability of the cardboard, general unboxing, all that stuff you'll see probably throughout Friday. I plan to go get it Thursday night just so I can get set up and ready to go that morning on Friday morning, and we'll kind of go through there. So if you're at least curious about it, I guess come by Friday, even over the weekend, and I'll have a bunch of little videos to show you guys what comes in the box and what you can expect from the Labo for, of course, between $70 and $80 depending on the packs you get. Now, we also have that Kratos giveaway going on. I wanted to give it away in a bit, obviously. We're giving away at 110,000 subscribers. The full Kratos figure. I think it'll go well with the God of War time that's going to be coming up over the next month or so, with everyone really excited for that game. But we do have a bunch of stuff to get into today, guys, including a Switch emulator, the possibility of Xenosaga, or Xenosaga, if you want to say it that way. I always go Xenosaga. We'll say Xenosaga from now. Xenosaga possibly getting a remaster on the Switch, on the PS4. Hard to say, but let's get started. So the world of emulation is a controversial world with a lot of people. Emulators are technically legal as long as you follow some guidelines. Specifically, you cannot use like the company's SDK for their system to reverse engineer. It has to be all of your code pretty much. And that's what generally happens with legal emulators. They build it up, they make it open source so that anyone can see it and they can keep tabs on them if they want. Companies can check them out, make sure they're not using any of their code from SDKs to make it run. And here we go now with two Switch emulators. They're at least booting games. Now, I say booting games, and I mean they're just booting games. People are going to start getting freaked out that they're booting games. They're running games like Binding of Isaac at 2 frames per second. These two emulators are Yuzu and the Nintendo Switch emulator Ryujinx. And here's the thing. Yuzu appears to be running games like Cave Story, and Ryujinx seems to be running games like Binding of Isaac. Not graphically intensive games like a Zelda, although, to be fair, you can already play Zelda on the Wii U emulator. We're thinking more along the lines of maybe something like Xenoblade Chronicles 2. That's a game that could use a graphics boost, obviously, and play better. Or even some people are saying, oh, what about 4K Mario Odyssey? Sure, that would look great. 4K Mario Odyssey is probably about 5 to 6 years away, though. By the time this emulator is up to code and it can play most games, much like we see with things like a PS2 emulator, right? Even PS3 emulation is struggling along, although it is getting better. By the time that happens, I think Nintendo will have moved on to their next system, or at least introduced it, you know, in 5 years or so. And these will become more for legacy stuff, like being able to play games that maybe aren't supported as much now, or of course the system, which eventually does get slowly phased out, is supported. You know, it's things that people get worried about is, what if it can do that like now? Even if it could, honestly, 1% of audience would probably play it on their PC. I think people underestimate the mainstream audience with gaming and emulation. Seriously, I think they do. The DS was emulated and crushed heavily with piracy, but it still sold 155 million units. So it comes down to the appeal of the system, and the Switch being a portable system as well as a home console system is something that's going to be very difficult to emulate, just its concept. That's the thing here that's different. So we have two emulators now that are at least booting games, and it's interesting to watch their progress, because while the Switch is an off-the-shelf Tegra, it still will have a revision coming up, and of course you still have different firmwares that get updated and added, and it's really an ever-changing OS right now. So it'll be interesting to at least watch it kind of evolve, but I wouldn't expect like massive leaps or anything coming up here. It'll be quite a while. Even Citra on the 3DS still has quite a few issues with emulation. That's been going on for a while. Next up, let's talk about Sega Ages, of course, on the Nintendo Switch. We heard about this at the Sega Fest 2018 before the weekend started here. Over in Japan, it was the weekend at the time. But this was an interesting announcement because it's 15 titles that are being essentially remastered kind of for the Switch. It's going to look pretty good on the screen. It's going to operate well and probably even use some of the features as M2 has done in the past with other really ports of older games and stuff. This is fun because they at least gave us the first 5 games that are going to be coming over to the Switch this summer. So it's going to be kind of broken up, like we said. Almost feels like a separation from the Virtual Console. I guess Sega didn't want to keep waiting. Think of like the Neo Geo arcade releases that we're currently seeing on the Switch marketplace. So here we go. The first 5 games that we're going to be getting include the first Sonic the Hedgehog, Gain Ground, Thunder Force 4, Alex Kidd in Miracle World, and Phantasy Star. It appears to be the first Phantasy Star that is coming over there. So that will be the first 5 games that do come over. It's the first like wave of games, and of course it'll go into the next, they'll probably release it in increments of 5. So we should probably get 3 blocks, I assume, although maybe they'll give us like 2 or something randomly because some are ready to go and others are not. And they also told us how you can get a hold of them if there's a certain game that you want. They are taking straight up requests from fans at this point if you want to tell them what games to bring over. Sam Mullen from Sega Atlas, yeah, just reach out to them on social media. That's what he said, just reach out to them. Let them know on things like Twitter, on Facebook. Just go to their official social media accounts and send them games that you would like to see come over. And don't stop at Genesis or Master System. Go into Dreamcast and Saturn realm, because we heard that that's what they want. And if they want to do that, if they hear more and more games to bring over, more and more platforms to bring over, I mean, tell them Game Gear, right? They will do that, it sounds like. They are just polling and seeing what's popular enough to bring over, what could get them the sales, see if there's an audience for certain games like a Panzer Dragoon, right, or different games on the Dreamcast like a Crazy Taxi, or even maybe like Virtual Tennis like I did. They're just kind of out there polling and seeing what people want. So make sure you let them know, make your voice heard, at them on Twitter or message them on Facebook or post comments and stuff. It's pretty cool that they are at least looking towards the community to tell them what they want. So yeah, just let them know. Next up, we have a little Project Octopath, or I guess at this point, Octopath Traveler. It's not really a project anymore since they are releasing it this summer. Octopath Traveler did get a rating in Australia that kind of caught some people off guard. It's actually getting an M rating, or a mature rating there. Now, there are a lot of questions as to why. There is some context within the game that deal with a few issues that some people might find, I guess, offensive to some, but it is getting a mature rating just to let people know at checkout. Now, the game itself appears to be rated by them as a content of a moderate impact and are recommended for teenagers aged 15 years and over, and specifically they list mature themes, sexual references, and violence of a moderate impact. So it's hard to say. Now, Australia generally goes the extra mile when it comes to censorship and rating games higher. I do think, for example, here in the States, you're going to see things like teen ratings and stuff for it. I don't think it's going to be that out of control. However, we have seen some gameplay that seems to use very suggestive language and dialogue, so keep that in mind as well. If you kind of take a look around at some gameplay sessions, you will see that, or maybe even if you played the demo some, you've probably come across a few. But yeah, it's going to be more, I guess, on the risque side for a teen-rated game. Next up, let's talk about Kingdom Hearts 3, because it did get a new trailer. They had a full event in Anaheim, California, the Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. It was a fan meetup there, and they showed a new trailer. Now, the trailer was roughly about a minute long or so, and it showed a new feature or new element to the game. I'm honestly curious because we keep seeing like new things being added to this game. I'm wondering what else they can show us, and I think they're going to show us probably a new world or just something big at E3 along with the release date. That's probably the biggest thing we need to know, even though I'm pretty confident it's getting the November release date, probably somewhere mid-November, maybe even the first week. That's something we still need to know, right, is the release date. But they showed us some cool features here, with the big one being they're going to have these little mini games. And when they first showed it, I said, oh, that looks like Game & Watch, as I'm sure many people thought that exact same thing. Some of the games they showed included the Barnyard Battle, the Carnival Kid, Giant Land, and Musical Farmer. Now, we don't know what these I guess these Tiger Handheld-esque games, these Game & Watch-esque games will actually do. I would like to think that these are kind of like an offshoot, like mini-games that give you rewards. An example that I could think of off the top of my head was Final Fantasy VIII. I would play the card game a lot to get stuff in the game, and that would help out. So I think that's more than likely going to be the case, just mini-games to get you stuff. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you played Tiger over and over again to get more parts for Poppy and everything. So they have these kind of mini-games. I thought this was really cool. I like the visual style of it, right? It kind of had that, when they first did it, it had kind of that noir look to it, or just older look to it, which is really cool. And I mean, it's not going to be for everybody. Some people might maybe just skip it. Maybe it's optional. Although I think a lot of the big Kingdom Hearts fans are going to pretty much try to 100% this game. So you probably will have to play these, but I thought it was kind of neat. Nice little callback to all the little handhelds we used to play back in the early 90s, because trust me, those were really big back then. We played a lot of those, went through a lot of double A's from what I remember, and parents didn't like that. Batteries were actually really expensive back then, if I remember right. But yeah, so it looks like it's very interesting to see these kind of features get introduced. More and more stuff for Kingdom Hearts 3, so at this point, we just need that release date. Hopefully it's November like I'm thinking, but we'll find out more at E3, and maybe they'll pass on another world to us. Now, our last bit of news, let's talk about some excitement that took place around a trademark that was discovered early yesterday. It comes from Bandai Namco, and it could, I say could because sometimes trademarks are just done to protect likenesses and everything, and just really protect your business. A trademark was filed that seems to point to the possibility of Xenosaga coming back out into the limelight. Possibly a remaster of the first 3, and that's where things get exciting. And it is for the subtitle, I'm not good at pronouncing this, also Sprach Zarathustra. I remember back in X-Play they had a hard time pronouncing it too. I thought that was funny. But this right here is the subtitle for the 3rd Xenosaga game. Yes, there were 3 of them on the PS2, if you remember, and the 3rd one even came out as late as 2006, almost actually a full year after the 360 had released in 2005. So these were kind of late games to the PS2. Now, the first one came out in 2002, and then the second one followed up a few years later. So it was pretty much going on throughout the PS2's life, all the way till the end, right around, actually, a few months before the PS3 release. So this is interesting because now, if they do that, what systems or system does it go to? Would it stay on Sony's platform and go to the PS4, or would it go to the current system that houses Monolith Soft and the Xeno series, that being Nintendo, with the Wii and the Wii U and then the Switch? That's kind of where that entire IP, that entire saga has gone to, is that. So it started with Sony and then it ends right now with Nintendo, or at least it's current with Nintendo. Does it come out? Is it a remaster of the first 3, or do they do separate remasters? I think I'd rather see a remaster of all 3, right? Just throw it in a package and price it accordingly. I mean, we just saw Shenmue 1 and 2 become $30. Maybe a $40 game here with, up-res assets and everything, maybe 1080p or maybe 4K for the PS4 Pro. And then you put it on the PS4 and the Switch. I think it should go to both because the legacy has existed on both and it's really continued. And I think it's done well on the Switch and the Wii and the Wii U and everything. I think it should come out on both. But what's really cool here is just the fact that seems like some stuff is kind of working in the background right now, and it is extremely, extremely exciting. So let me know what you guys think about this possible trademark and the possibility of Xenosaga Remaster, the trilogy, something coming out in the future here. It's something we've been calling for a while. I would like to have the portable experience on the Switch, and I would like to have the 4K experience on the PS4 and the PS4 Pro if I would like. Also, the question is, would it go to PC as well, just these 3 systems, or does it go to all systems? I don't really know what the Xbox would be doing in there, but I mean, I guess if Bandai Namco just wants to make a ton of money and throw it on as many systems as possible, that could happen as well. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for Newswave today. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, guys. Really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave a bunch of comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it is the Switch emulators starting to boot up games. Is it odd to you to see that already happening? I mean, this doesn't happen normally, to see emulators of systems that are pretty new, right? The Switch is fairly new. Now, you're not going to be able to emulate what the Switch can do like from its big technical point, where it can go from portable to dock mode right away and everything. That's not really something you're going to see easily, if at all. But I'm curious what people think about this. Maybe people would like to see Mario Odyssey in 4K and everything in 4 or so years after the Switch has kind of had its run. It's not going to really hurt Nintendo, to be completely honest. What they should be worried about is the distribution of their games, the unlawful distribution of their games online. And they did do something like that with some ROM sites already with older games. So they would just have to crack down on the Switch games kind of getting passed around. That's the big thing there. Also, let me think about a Xenosaga Remaster trilogy, of course. Kingdom Hearts 3, the Sega Ages collection. Maybe you have some ideas about what you want to come over, because Sega wants to hear from you guys, so make sure you make your voices heard there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.